the fabulous Katrina Friel. Katrina is Australia's leading successful entrepreneurs, and she's going to be talking about practicing assertiveness as an EA. So it follows on really, really well from Emma's presentation. A big round of applause for Katrina.
Thanks, guys. Oh my God, just turn to the person next to you and take their head in your hands like this. And I want you to look deep into their eyes and say, the EA goddess in me sees the EA goddess in you. And Sydney's a bit like this. Perth people did it, whereas Sydney people go, I am not doing that. You can, stick it. It says a lot about Sydney people. Born and bred, I know the ilk. But anyway, we use this confidence as a way, this conference as a way of seeing each other, don't we? Really looking deep into each other's eyes, and we get it. It's hard, really hard. And after working with EAs for over 20 years, I've come to pick up on a few things. Confidence, self-worth, and assertiveness. These are the issues we're coaching with our EAs all the time. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
So we're going to have a little check-in, if that's okay with you. So I've given you a handout, and we're going to have a look at a couple of things. But before we do that, let's just sort of think about what is assertiveness. Enjoying your rights, expressing your feelings, asking for what you want, stating your views. Give yourself a rating out of 10 for how much you're able to do that. You've got to be done with integrity, honesty, directness, and respect for others, of course. What it's not is aggressive. When I'm training assertiveness, what happens is they go, it's aggressive. Now, the reason that EAs think it's aggressive, like they associate assertiveness with aggressiveness, is because in the DISC, has everyone done DISC before, D-I-S-C? In the DISC, you guys are more likely to have a very strong position in the S, the steadiness bit. And these guys are not naturally assertive. They're naturally more passive just by their very nature. And so if anybody speaks fast, you see it as a little bit, speaks fast or loud, it's the opposite of you. Does that make sense? And so you can often read things as aggressive when they're not. They're just being direct, they just talk fast, they just talk louder than you. There's nothing aggressive about it. So assertiveness has nothing to do with aggression. Aggression is aggression. Make sense? It's not hostile, it's not blaming, it's not threatening, it's not demanding, and it's certainly not sarcastic. And the reason we don't like sarcasm in communication is because it has a double meaning. And don't you think communication's hard enough without things having a double meaning? Even though tonight, after a few wines, I'll get really sarcastic because I actually enjoy that. That's my kind of sense of humour, double meaning, and I really love sexual double entendres. So if you're my kind of peeps, then come over and have a wine with me tonight. But sarcasm in business is out. We got it? So let's start with the first one. The first one, what do you rate yourself as? What have you got there? This is the first one. So give me a number, somebody. Apologise even when you haven't done anything wrong. We've all done it, but what are we rating ourselves now? Or 1. Okay, let's do the next one. We'll move this along. Ask for permission when getting permission is unnecessary. Like, excuse me, can I go to the bathroom? We're not 3. You simply get up and go to the effing bathroom. Make sense? Right. Next one. Worry about what other people think even if you don't know them. Yeah. Yes, this is an issue. Great. Find it impossible to say no. The main one that I'm working with EAs on is the inability to say no. So when we're coaching EAs, we're often at this point. They see saying no as letting somebody down. They load it up with all this extra meaning instead of learning how to elegantly and sophisticatedly say no. That's high-level communication skills. But just never saying no and just taking it all on and then burning out twice before you're 25. Sorry, got a bit personal there for a second. Can you see where that got me? Nowhere. So you've got to learn how to speak up, speak out, get what your needs and the needs of your team and your strategic partnerships, whatever they are, you've got to learn to say no. So not having that as a skill is a real issue, particularly in your role. Because it'll keep piling on, right? Has everyone experienced that? They just keep coming to you because you're a yes, ma'am. All right, next one. Smile even when you're giving and receiving bad news. In communication and psychology, we call this that you're incongruent. And people find looking at that really uncomfortable. Oh my God, my grandmother died. I mean, seriously. Your body language, including your face, have to be congruent when you're a good communicator. And this is not it. So often people who haven't got a lot of confidence and assertiveness will be smiling when delivering bad news because they're very, very uncomfortable. And so you've got to get strong inside of yourself. This is what you'd be working on with a coach. Believe people don't want to hear what you have to say. This is my absolute bugbear with EAs. Because you're naturally introverted, it means that you are often internalising your experience and you're processing internally. It means that you're thinking very deeply about things. Whereas the extroverts are shooting from the hip, haven't thought a thing about it, and woo, they've got lots to say in meetings constantly. Haven't they? So when an EA, I encourage EAs to speak up and speak out in meetings and have deep and meaningful conversations with their executives and their teams because your view is well considered more often than not, more than most people. All right, so I really want you to think about how often do you have the opportunity to speak up and speak out. Now with that, comes a little bit of body language is required because they speak faster than you. It means you have to learn how to slow a meeting down or stop a meeting so you can jump in. Whereas you can see, because I'm reasonably assertive, that I'd be able to jump in there. Can you see? And just get my thought in. I wouldn't have to say, whoa, slow it down a little bit. Whoa, I've got something to say. What I teach EAs is how to use their body language. So they might go like this. Just for 2 seconds, can you see? The minute they see that happening, people would stop and look at you. Now you feel really uncomfortable because you guys hate all eyes on you. But you use your body to sort of slow things down. Don't wait for a break in the communication because there won't be any, which means the conversation moves on. Next minute, you know, you've missed your bit and you sit back again and go, okay, and another time it was missed. And what you had to say was valuable. But you didn't get to say it because you couldn't work out how to get in there. So we use the body to slow the meeting down and get your thoughts in there. That's a whole thing. All right, so let's keep going, keep doing the rest of the quiz. And while we're waiting for everyone to get that done, who wants to, anybody in the problematic area? Anybody getting a problematic reading? Add them up. I'm just going to give you a second, and while we're waiting, just call out one particular one you want me to discuss. You might have some thoughts. Any ones that are concerning for you. I like just to do the first few with you, and then you guys can just do the rest. But it's a great little check-in, isn't it? Just to see where are we at with this whole topic of assertiveness.
I find it difficult to ask for money back.
What was that?
Asking money back from people I've lent it to.
Oh God, it's really hard, isn't it? It's a very uncomfortable. It's called a difficult conversation for a reason. That we used to in the 90s we used to have 2-day programs, training programs on having difficult conversations. And, you know, it takes bravery. Have you heard about courageous leadership? This is why they call it courageous leadership. You've really got to put on your big girl pants and get in there and have an elegant, sophisticated, direct, clear, concise conversation about it, but it will require you to step into your bravery, step into being courageous. Otherwise, you just end up bitter, seething for the rest of your life, and nothing changes.
Broke.
Exactly, broke. But it's one of those things, it's very difficult, very uncomfortable, and the minute you're triggered like that, they're the conversations to be having. Challenge yourself. What's the worst that can happen? You end up in a payment plan with them of some sort. But what you have done is shown them that there's a boundary. When people don't pay you, to me, it's like a respect thing, isn't it? It's saying, I don't respect you enough. You don't scare me. You don't bother me. I can just take your money and run. It's like, excuse me? What? So that's just huge for me. So, but it's going to take bravery on your part to speak up, speak out, create a plan of some sort with them, and at the worst, they know you've asked for it. They know that you know and you've addressed it, whereas otherwise they've gotten away with it. What's another one that you feel uncomfortable with? Who's asked for a pay rise recently? Everyone comfortable with that kind of conversation? EAs are renowned for sitting back, being really passive about that. You've got to have a plan of attack on how to speak up and speak out, make space, be prepared, have prepared your conversations. There's a training I like to do called Exercising Influence, and within that program, on average, about 3 or 4 tactics and behaviours around influencing people will have quite naturally, but at the end of the course, you end up with 16 different tactics and behaviours that you can access. So that's going to make you much more influential. You've got to be able to manage up, down, sideways. You guys are operating with no authority. It doesn't come with your title. It's not the authority of your executive that you've got. So you need more than authority that you don't have. You want to be able to exercise influence. And influence is all about relationships. All right, is there any other one that you want to discuss? Any concerns on that list? Yes?
It means you overstay their welcome.
Right, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, get out, I like to say. But no, again, it comes down to this elegant sophistication is what is your boundary and how can we, to me, there's a proactive part to that. So it's setting the boundary in the first place so they never outstay their welcome. A lot of assertiveness is good that way, is that you want to be addressing things right up front because it's hard when things have now got awkward and time has passed. I find living like that really hard because you're constantly now addressing all these big, bad, awkward issues. Come over to the initial, before there's any emotion involved, before there's any boundaries that have been crossed, and address things up front. So think about this situation. Could you have addressed it a little bit more proactively before in the arrangement phase? Yes? Yeah. It's just a lot easier because I think once you're triggered, once you're now upset, now you've got baggage. You've got all this stuff that's coming into the conversation with you. So just with assertiveness, assertive people are quite quick to set boundaries up at the early phase. Any other one?
Just to respond to that, my grandmother used to just go to bed if there was
Yes. I was at a party once and the guy started blowing out all the candles and I was like, oh, okay, see you later. I better go home. I'm having such a great time. But yeah, you can use obvious things, but some people have no social skills and so they're not reading those cues. And again, you've got to work that out. If people are watching those social cues, some people will overstay their welcome just because they're lonely, nowhere else to go, and you're over it. What else? Has everyone done it? Has everyone got their score? Has everyone got a room for improvement? Yes.
13, do work no one else wants to do.
Sorry. Oh, yes. So do you do work that nobody else wants to do? Do you end up with it all at the end?
I find it hard to delegate sometimes.
Yes. So hands up who's been to a delegating training program. Hands up who's been to a exercising influence. Hands up who's been to a communication skills program, learning the ability to say no. Can you see? These are the things that we want to see EAs do. We want you guys to invest in your personal and professional development. It's marvellous that you've come to a conference for 2 days. The conference is like a smorgasbord. You get to eat a lot of food and hear about a lot of concepts. But deep personal and professional development is private sometimes. One-on-one coaching exists for a reason. Your executives go to executive coaching and have mentors for a reason. You guys should have that too. And so you want to deep dive into things. And that's what today's about. Today is like you've checked in with your assertiveness, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to do the work to get it up to the next level of your maturity as a professional and as an executive in their own right, as a strategic business partner? It's time to step up. We're no longer what we were 30 years ago. We're no longer what we were even 20 years ago. Look at what you guys have to be today. And that's going to require investment of time and energy. Now, the homework I give you is you will only develop if somebody else pays. So you're waiting around for your organisations to invest in you, and only then will you go to something. Whereas what the top 10% of the people in the world, these are the activated lifelong learners, do, they put their own hand in their own emotional money pouch and they invest in themselves. I, for a fact, when I was working for 30 years, no one invested anything in me. Anything that I went on in my own money and my own time and off my own bat. And that gives you an advantage. It's not to their agenda. It's to your own personal and professional development. So if you do want to be in the top 10% of the world's population and you do want to be an activated lifelong learners are proactive with their development. The rest of the 90%ers are reactive. So they get sacked or retrenched or something weird happens and they suddenly have to do something about their career. Then they go, oh, I have to update my resume. Oh, I have to go and do an Excel course. Oh, I have to go and do something. They're shocked. It's all a big rush. Whereas you guys are here. You guys are already seeking to develop. So pat the person on the back and say, congratulations, welcome to the Activated Lifelong Learners Club. That's amazing. But the next step is to get proactive with your development. And here's some of the things I want you to focus on. First of all, the reasoning behind assertiveness issues is that they don't focus on the locus of control. So if you are busy being busy and you're so busy, I'm so busy, look, I cannot tell you, I'm just so busy, you can only control yourself. You can only influence others. But people that are busy being busy are often wasting about 40% of their energy in a year focused on stuff they can't change. They have no control over or no influence over. So if you learn that concept, you get back 40% of your energy and time in a year. That is life-changing. That one, surprisingly. That's one of my philosophies of life. Next one is your stress levels. A lot of EAs are stressy vibe. So nobody likes them because it's like, I'm so busy, I can't see, constantly busy, and that's the vibe. So people start to withdraw because it's just such a stressy vibe. You want to be more like the swan or the duck, don't you? Pedaling underneath, sure, but on top it's just this air of elegance and togetherness and confidence. So just watch your stress levels and how people are perceiving those. It's up to you. You are in control of self. You have to control your stress levels. No one else has any control over that. None. That's up to you. Conditioning and authority, what happens with EAs is they are very polite and modest. They are quiet and reserved. They are often more introverted. They don't like speaking up and speaking out, and they're more passive rather than assertive. So that being said, what we want to work on is our conditioning and authority around that. That is not all who you are. You are all of it. You are more than that. But what happens is we are trained and conditioned at a very, very young age to be the good girl. Hands up, who's grown up to be the good girl. Well, I found that all very offensive when I was a teenager, and I even loved doing a keynote one year. I got to do it, what do bad girls do that good girls never would? It was one of the greatest keynotes I ever did. It was so fun because I am naughty and I am, whatever you want to call me. A third of the room will love me, a third of the room will hate me, and a third of you won't give a shit. I get it. I understand that. That's fine. Right? So it doesn't matter. And it's the same with you guys. There's a third of people at work that absolutely adore you and appreciate you. There's a third that go, who the hell does she think she is? And there's a third that just don't even know you exist or care about you. You have no influence over them whatsoever. Makes sense? So get over yourselves. We are not just humble, modest, quiet, passive people. We are all of it. It's just what muscle have we gone to the gym of building? What are we strong in? Humble and modest. Well done, guys. Congratulations. You guys have a huge muscle in being that. I want you to build this because that will get you speaking up and speaking out in meetings. That will get you to places that you'll never realise you even wanted to go. You know, there's so much more over here that you can have rather than just defining yourself as this. Next one. Ooh. Self-talk. How's your self-talk? Give yourself a rating out of 10. I'll guarantee you it is negative and critical. And I'm sick of it. What we say to ourselves is the equivalent of child abuse. Because it's your inner child that is copying that shit from you. So stop. Start listening to what you're saying to yourself. It is offensive. And you know why it's even more offensive? It's because it's not true. You are brilliant. You are making a contribution. You are capable. You are amazing. You're experienced. But because you're so humble and modest, you have to beat yourself up with negative self-talk. What? What is that about? So I've been on a campaign for 20 years to try and eradicate all this sort of stuff from what's going on. Do you agree that you're hard on yourselves when you're actually good workers? You're good team players? You're incredible EAs? You've got incredible skills? You do your best? You've got your heart in the right place? Your intentions are great? Why are you whipping yourself at the end of every day going, I could have been bloody better. I want to be perfect. Don't get me started on perfectionism disease because I want to punch that right in the face. Make sense? All right, now I'm here and it's probably scary, but are you feeling me? I can't stand it anymore. I just can't stand it. I want way better for you. I want you to be way better than that. Yeah, so these are the things I'm talking about with EAs and pretty much your executives as well. The exact same things. There's no difference. You need the same coaching and mentoring as every executive out there. And just reclaiming your personal power. So personal power is the space around you. You know? It's not about owning the room and being the loudest person in the room. It's not that. It's owning your own personal power. You have just as much right to be on this planet and suck up the air in the room as anybody else. But it takes practice to own your personal power and to be able to dial it up and down accordingly to what you need. At the moment, if I was coaching you one-on-one, I could dial my personal power right down to about a 1 or a 2. Whereas when I'm speaking, I need to dial that up, not to a 10 because the room's small. But when you walk onto a stage with 2,000 people, can you see? They need to feel you at the back of the room, so you dial it right up. Whereas in this room, I can just dial my personal power to around a 4 or a 5. Can you feel me up the back? Can you feel my passions? Can you feel me talking to you? Can you feel it? That's all it needs to be. You just need to be able to own the room and whoever you're talking to at the time. And I work in the area of confidence most predominantly more than anything else. Everyone talks about confidence, but nobody shows you the structure of it. So let's draw a triangle, put the word confidence in the middle. Let's look at the structure of confidence. Top one, self-belief. On the left, put self-value. And on the far right, on the third point, put self-assured. Now, if all three things are in balance, you are confident on that issue. If you ever are not confident, I want you to check in and self-coach which one is out of balance, or is all three out of balance, or is there 2 out of 3 out of balance. Give me something that you're not confident on. Somebody, just so I can quickly show you how this works. An example, yes please. Speaking, public speaking, great. So do you believe you can learn to become a good public speaker and even speak up and speak out in meetings? Yep. Do you hear the yep, yep? Do you hear the fast pace of that? That means as a coach, she does believe that she could be quite good at public speaking. Do you think learning it and putting the energy into learning how to, and practice public speaking, do you think it would add value to your life and to your career? Okay, slower. There's a nod of the head there, but it's a slow nod. She didn't go, yep, yep, yep. She didn't go, yeah, yeah, yeah. She just went, yes, yes. So I'd do a little bit of work on dialing up the value it would give you in your life and your career and where it will take you, because it's taken me all over the world. I'm really into this. Third one, self-assured. How much have you practiced it? A little bit? Not a lot. You can tell from the long pause that you haven't practiced it. So self-belief is fine. Self-value, a little bit of a dial-up. But here, you just need to start practicing it and doing it, because you don't get good at anything. You don't go to the Olympics and just suddenly on the day perform. It's the same with speaking. It's this ongoing muscle that you build over time. Make sense? So that's why you're not confident on public speaking. You haven't done it enough. So now's the time to put some meat on that bone and look for an opportunity to present something, even if it's for 10 minutes. Just came back from Houston, bit of a brag. Just did my first TED Talk, everybody. So could you just jump on YouTube? Guess what it was about? It'll be a topic you're interested in. Self-doubt. So please jump onto YouTube, do Katrina Friel, spelt specifically, have a look at the way I spell my name, and just go Katrina Friel TED Talk, it will come. And it's only 10 minutes of your life, but it's my view around self-doubt. And for EAs, this self-doubt, and I tell you what, doing the TED Talk, more self-doubt came up in me that I had a tsunami of it. And I'm trying to write it and practice it, and I'm going, oh my God, self-doubt, calm down, I'm trying to teach this thing. But it was numbing, it was horrendous, it was just awful. And you'll see the difference, because now you've seen me speak in this environment where I'm comfortable and I enjoy. You'll see me speak there and you'll see a completely different version of me, and you'll be able to see the difference of what self-doubt does when it raises its ugly head. So enjoy the speech anyway, it's terrific. Don't leave a review going, I've seen Katrina better. Don't do that, because you have. Today is better, believe me. But anyway, it's a good topic, right? It's a good topic we all want to learn about. The message is good, but not my greatest. So do you get about confidence? You now have the structure of confidence. You can now self-coach around confidence and work on some of these things. But to be assertive, if you are going to speak up and speak out, you need to speak their language. So what I want to offer you guys is the ability to get these 3 quizzes. So if you just pull, at the back of the thing, fill in the form, give it to me before I go. Give it to me, just that thing there. Just fill that in, and you will get not only the book down there, the e-book, you'll be able to download that, but most importantly, I want you to download the disc, download the VARC, and download the EQ. So, disc. Who has never heard of disc? Who's never done disc, a quiz? Yes, it's always surprising. I mean, it's just been around forever, but we still always get 50-50 in the room going, have no idea. It's so incredibly important to understand what you are in the disc profile, but also to understand how to read others and how to speak their language. And so in your coaching session with me, so you get a free 1 hour of my life that I can't get back, I'll organise it with you directly. We go through the disc profile and I talk about your strengths and your challenges and how to apply the disc model so that you can become in rapport with people instantly, within 3 seconds, and exercise way more influence than you would without the disc model. The second thing we want to work on is VARC. This is the way people process information. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic. You want to know what you are because that's the way you want your info. The problem is that's how you're delivering info, and not everyone likes it like that. All right? And the R in that is the level of detail people want and need. So if you're a highly detailed person, hands up who is a highly detailed person. Well, people can't stand that. So stop it. And you've got to know that the other person is low, medium or high detail and match and mirror them. If you want to build rapport, if you want to be able to speak up and speak out, and if you want to be heard, you want to use the disc model overlaid with the VARC model containing your EQ. So EQ, who's read the book? EQ goes back 30 years. Emotional Intelligence, marvellous book. Every single leadership management program around the world, from Harvard right down to something, going on here, has got emotional intelligence as a topic. And EAs are not getting into it, and you should be into it. Because it's know thyself so that you can know your impact on others. That's EQ in an absolute nutshell. Know thyself, self-awareness, so you understand your impact. If you're not that self-aware, you will not be understanding the impact you're having on people. And if you're going to speak up and speak out and be assertive, then you want to completely understand what the impact's going to be every time you open your mouth. Make sense? You want to have that kind of confidence. So EQ then is broken down into those 5 subgroups. So know thyself, know your impact on others. That's the high level concept, but then it breaks down into 5. And the quiz will give you a bit of a rating on all 5, where you're at. And we can discuss it at the free coaching session so that we can go a little bit deeper on it. If you absolutely hate me, do not fill in the form, do not hand me the form because I don't want to talk to you either. But for those who love personal and professional development, fill it in, we'll have a meeting and you'll get to see what goes on behind the doors in a coaching session, in a career development session, in a personal development session with somebody who has been doing this for over 25 years. All right, so where are we at? We want to move you from fear of speaking up and speaking out to just curious. That's what assertive people are. They're really curious, like, oh, how did that happen? Oh, how come you think like that? Oh, what happened there? Can you see? Curiosity takes away all the fear and concern. Like, what are they going to think of me? Well, what other people think of you is none of your goddamn business. Write that down. It's a really important one. I remember learning that, thinking, oh my God, that is profound. It's amazing. And I've never forgotten it. Don't you love it? What is going on in their brains, I have no control over. What's going on in your brain right now, I have no control over. None whatsoever. That's on you. If I'm triggering you in any way because I'm a confident, assertive woman, that's on you. That's not on me, is it? All I can be is myself. All I can bring is just energy and love and my will to live to this day. Yeah. What was that?
Am I intimidating or you're intimidated?
Yes, exactly. It's just on them. It's not on us to worry about that. Just be yourself. As you know, everyone else is taken. So all I've got is myself. So let's just move it from fear to curiosity. Just remember that. Anytime you feel like, just go, what could I be curious about? And straight away the fear's gone, replaced by curiosity. Much healthier approach to any conversation. You know about the gift. So fill that in, bring it up to me. But let's get going with questions. I hope you enjoyed today, yay? Woo! He loves questions, so I like to leave time for questions.
Yes, and so jump into questions. Who would like to start?
Who's not too scared to ask a question? Oh, thank you. Oh, great. I just wipe my nose.
When you said about EA's lack, right? You didn't actually say that, but that's how I interpreted it.
Yes.
EA's lack EQ. I think we're...
No, I did not say that. Whoa.
That's how I took it.
Really? Isn't that interesting?
She say that where she was like, we need to work on
It's probably in the disc. I probably was talking about where EAs can develop in the disc. But in the EQ, actually, when we break that down, if we go back a second to the EQ thing, you guys are quite self-aware. You guys are good, like your readers, your deep thinkers. You like to learn things, concepts in a deep way. So you're quite self-aware. The other thing you're quite good at is self-regulation. Have you seen the people around you who cannot self-regulate? So anybody that's a drinker or drug taker or dies of drug overdose of some sort, they can't regulate, they can't self-regulate. And in emotional intelligence, we need to be able to regulate ourselves to know how to take ourselves from fear to curiosity. So if I felt fear, I would take a deep breath and say, Katrina, what's going on? And I would regulate my system, taking 3 deep breaths to go, what are you scared of? Like, what's the problem here? Okay, let's shift this over into curiosity. Can you see I've got to be able to self-regulate? Otherwise, if I'm up here triggered every second of the day, I can't function. You don't want that. You want to be able to self-regulate and you want to be able to self-motivate. You want to have empathy. You guys have that in spades. And you want to have reasonably good social skills. People without social skills are terrible in their careers. They can't function.
Sorry, I must have gotten confused. I was on the EQ one.
You were?
Yeah, I was stuck on the EQ.
So what was the trigger point for you though?
I don't know, maybe that we needed to work on it. The EQ.
Everyone does.
Right.
Everyone. It's an ongoing journey. You never arrive at perfect EQ. No, everyone. It's ongoing. Self-awareness is not something that you arrive at and go, I am complete. I am complete. It's constant. And when you get to that level and you get confident there's another level. And you get there and there's another level in all of that. So fabulous insight and thank you for sharing because it's brave to speak up.
I've got another one.
Yes, please. You're good.
Just going to open it.
Anybody else?
I've got one for you and then we'll go back.
Okay.
So my question is, often when we want to be assertive in a situation, you're in this situation and you're like, and as you say, that by the time you get to half an hour later, I wish I'd said this, I wish I'd done that. And it's kind of in the back of your head, but it doesn't get out.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people who have got, that you're always reflecting, if only I'd said that,
I know.
if only I'd said that at that time.
Yeah. It takes practice. First of all, there's, I want you to get bored with missing the boat. I want you to say, enough. I'm sick of it, I'm bored with that, I'm now going to have a crack and get into these meetings and speak up and speak out. So that's the first thing, get bored with your behaviour at these meetings. Second of all, if you do miss the boat and you do ruminate over what you coulda, shoulda, woulda said, that's what journaling is all about. Get it down. And then if it is absolutely riveting, why don't you prepare a really influential email and say, guys, I want to speak up on some issue. The other day we had a meeting and I just completely missed the boat. I couldn't get my words in there. But here are my thoughts now that I've had time to think about it through, and I hope it adds value to your thinking. You know, no, we don't all not miss the boat. We often miss the boat, and I often ruminate about what I could have, should have said. But also self-regulating that so that I don't beat myself up about it. What I did was what I did. What I said is what I said. I did all right. I move on. But if it really niggles with me, it's time to journal and get that out. Get that written down. Yes, yes, yes.
Katrina, thank you so much for today. It was very
Thank you for
inspiring.
your speech. It was amazing, and what a wonderful tie-in. I felt like I should have been up there holding your hand, going, yes!
No, thank you. So I was just curious.
Yes.
As to what made you move into this coaching space, where you came from, and what inspired you to get into this space?
I loved personal development. I loved professional development. I loved learning. I was just naturally curious. And every time I saw a woman up there on stage, my little heart felt jealous. And I used to think, well, what are you going to do about that? It's a heart's desire. Anytime you're jealous, jealousy is a lovely thing. It shows you what your gap is. So I always listen to my jealousy and go, well, that's because, darling, you want to be up there yourself. So off you go, start the work. And it does. It takes, like, I've been doing it for a long time now, and you never arrive at perfection. You know, it is what it is. It's an ongoing journey. Speaking is just like self-awareness. You get better and better at it with age, and you get more and more, better with practice. But you did beautifully today, but also your style is different from mine, and that's okay. That's good.
Hi, I was just going to...
Ah, there's my girl. Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I just wanted to ask, in the workplace, how can you help others regulate themselves? Like, I work in a construction company, and I have a lot of supervisors around me. They've got high pressure jobs. They've got numerous jobs running various locations, and they come in and angry and complaining about this, complaining about that, and other people hear it. And then it brings other people down, or they start questioning, oh, hang on a second, is this job good? Or, am I doing something wrong? Are they doing better than me? Like, it can be, I don't know, it just brings the vibe of the place down. So
It's called culture.
Yeah, culture.
That's
right.
culture. Because if people are just being like that, like balls out to the wind, that is not honest, and it's not helpful, and it's not useful. What they're doing is they're vomiting on you, so now you feel shit too. Yeah. So that's culture of allowing that behaviour. Now, if that was me and somebody tried to do that to me, and your industry is kinesthetic, by the way, so you need to unpack this VARC thing and then you'll understand kinesthetics. Kinesthetics are touchy-feely, they're often emotional people, and they feel shit in their body. And so that you just touch them. So you say, I know how you feel, take 3 deep breaths, but calm the friggin' farm. Can you see, you've got to touch them. Yeah, not inappropriately, I mean, so if you had a great relationship with somebody, you could touch them on the back, but they feel things in their bodies. So with these guys, I would talk about touch and shaking it out and getting it out of your body. That's why we have sex. That's why we go to sports. That's why we do yoga and gym and all this stuff. Kinesthetic people need to do that because they need to get it out of their bodies. Visual auditory, that's different. What do you think an auditory needs? They need to talk. They need to hear. Yes. Hi. Thank you for getting up and being brave today. Pretty impressive. Woo.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier about self-awareness.
Yes.
And walking away from something and thinking, I should have said this.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Yes.
What if you So I personally find myself as a very self-aware person, and I often walk away going, I shouldn't have said that.
Shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have heard that. Because I find that I like to address everything, and
Yes.
there's times where I go, "No, actually
It's self-regulation. It does come with maturity. So I'm looking at you and thinking, you're quite young, aren't you? Are you in your 30s?
thank you."
Are you in your 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 30s, once you get to 40 and you start to enter your peak, you start to be more confident about when to speak and when not to speak. Whereas it's actually a younger developmental level where you just, oh my God, all my ideas are great, I have to speak it out, and it's all external processing. You want to learn how to balance that with internal processing. You say it to yourself to get the itch to stop, but you don't have to express everything. Yeah, so with 40, I want you to get to 40 and go, now I know when to speak, when not to speak. Mwah. It's probably enough, isn't it?
Great question, great advice. We've got more questions, but we've run out of time.
Yes, of course. Pleasure.
So what I'm going to do, big round of applause. What's here?
Thank you.